Oh, there I am. I was like, I cannot hear myself. And then I found
me. This music is great.
We're back.
And
back.
We're back. Sorry for the break there, folks.
Well, it was great to have Christophe Beck in here. He was wonderful to listen to. I loved everything he had to say. It was very interesting. Anyway,
I think he's incredible. And before we get back into just doing a probably really fast rundown of Edge of Tomorrow, I do want to say that I think that he's done so many things.
Oh my God!
And it's still very early in his career.
Yeah, that's what I was amazed by.
Literally like, oh my goodness, you've done, what is it? He said between 50 and 60 films.
I don't know what
plus
it is.
TV shows.
Yeah.
And it really has not been that many years. So I think, and he already has hits like Frozen, these big blockbusters. I think we're going to see amazing things from him. I'm excited to hear his music, and I think his variety is fantastic.
He's definitely going to go down as one of the composers up there with John Williams, Hans Zimmer, like all those
even surpass Jerry
names.
Goldsmith. Who knows?
Yeah. It's incredible. But back to Edge of Tomorrow.
Here we go. Yeah.
Dive in.
Okay. Since we have very limited time, what do we want to speak to first? Let me ask you this then. Anything glaring that you thought was fabulous, or anything that you wanted to? What was this? Go ahead.
I think this is kind of a character / career move that I just have to acknowledge that I went into this movie partly doubting it because of Tom Cruise. I thought that this was just going to be your average run-of-the-mill. Let's throw a big, tons of explosions. Let's make it big and grand, and that's going to carry the weight of this movie. And it didn't. For me, it was really the character development.
Yeah.
And he earned a lot of fanship back from me that he hasn't really had in years.
He's had challenging times, public experience, and even some of the movies they haven't done as well in the States that they've done internationally. But he's been, for 30 years or so, he's been a huge major star in the last few years.
That star power showed through on this. And the fact that they started him
off
as a coward.
Yeah, that's
completely.
what I was going to say. Yeah.
Completely, that they had him start off not as the top guy, not as the guy
who's
coming
to save the world. Arc.
But they gave him the, oh, you really don't want to do this, and the earning this, and the I liked that it wasn't just oh, they're in love with each other when they're only having one day. I liked that it was kind of complicated, and there was an affection growing for me on his point, and she kind of felt it, but it wasn't oh, they're in love.
Yeah, it was. They didn't force that so much because it wasn't. Yeah. They just didn't have the time to do that, and I think that was a smart choice not to force it, to make the possibility of it at the end.
They had a bigger story going on too that they have to deal with. The bigger objective, the overall big picture.
Along with him starting off as a coward, because clearly he was, and I thought he did great in those scenes with Brendan Gleeson, bumping into the chair, the whole thing, and then running. I mean, totally, completely playing against type, which I thought was a great choice. I also thought there's some vicarious thrill for people who are not as big as fans or not of seeing Tom get just bludgeoned and beaten and stuff, because he gets killed so many different ways and different times. That's what people go, yeah, right on. Yeah.
And I think that adds to the vulnerability of his character too. That's someone that we can actually enjoy, not just because he's getting killed, because he is human. And adding those characters. And I was never off of the Tom Cruise bandwagon. And I always liked him. Yeah, he had some hit and misses with his movies.
What star wouldn't?
It's okay.
I mean, if you put up his career against everybody else, everybody has not so good movies. But for 30 years, the guy's been a bona fide movie star, the top one ever.
He's been a crazy name.
But I also thought that playing against type, we just talked about the playing against type thing was great, but there's something about the fact that because he's going to reset, that you can have fun with him getting killed. You can have fun with, I mean, they obviously did with, we'll just have to reset, and boom, pop him in the head. And, you broke your leg. No, I can feel my toes. Bang. That stuff is, how much fun can you have with it? That's great.
It's wonderful. And then another point I want to give them credit to, I know we're zipping kind of through this, but is that I thought they made a lot of things very simple. And to me, it worked. Sometimes it causes a lot of questions. But the fact that the whole world was being taken over by these aliens, and that the aliens kind of existed on these 3 levels, and they explained them concisely, with one being the claws, one being the alphas, and it being the brain. And that's what it was. And it was just a race that was here to take over for whatever reason they needed, and they were going to get it. And I was like, all right, I like this tiered aspect. I like that in one area it gives us conflict because we can't kill any alphas. It also gives us this mission because we have to find the center, and we have to find these claws. And I was like, that works. that works very well for me. I was just
a lot of people didn't have any issues with it. Some of them had other issues with it, but I think that those 3-tier thing was good. But people had some challenges. Why are they here? I didn't quite get that. No, they're just here to learn how to be human, so they can learn how to take over worlds elsewhere.
It seemed like they were called mimics. What I got from it, from a couple different scenes putting things together, was that the mimics came. It was a race of aliens that obviously has perfected the domination of worlds. There was the one section in the bar where it was like, well, I say they're here for minerals, and I say they're here, and Tom Cruise gives the line, you know what?
Difference does it make?
It doesn't matter. They're gonna kill us. And I was like,
I appreciate it, and I was of the same thing. Well, it doesn't matter. They're trying to kill you. Who cares? Why? Why do you have to understand?
And it was kind of nice that they did that, and there wasn't this whole other subplot in this time travel story where they were like, oh, but the mimics are really trying to do this, and we didn't get like the scenes of mimics.
I've often said, if you're having problems, if you really can't plug all your plot holes, and you pretty much have to use speed to get through them. So by the time people go, wait a minute, what was that? You're already gone to the next thing. So they did a great job of keeping the thing moving.
Yeah, speaking of the next thing, I loved how they used that device to their storytelling and how they progressed forward, even though they kept resetting. But because when we went to another new location, we would slowly learn that, we've already been here, even though the audience hasn't been there. And then like
you'd learn either we had been there or we hadn't.
Yeah,
we
he
didn't know
adds
that
more little details. They're like, okay, at this point, the audience can already assume that they've lived this day at least once or twice.
Yeah.
So, and I liked how they just kept forwarding the story along, and that didn't bother me. They're like, this is somewhere new I want to know, but that doesn't really matter because we've already been there.
Yeah, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. The only thing I wanted more of was at the ending. I wanted a bigger ending. Okay. And I'm not the only one who said that. There's a lot of people who said it just kind of fizzled there at the end. And it did to me because, he pulls I love the imagery that the hand grenades go down. You see the 5 pins or whatever, the hand grenade pins come out of his hand and stuff like that. And obviously Omega blows up, and then everything else just kind of goes poop. It just kind of, I'm like,
well, he gets coated in the blood, and then he goes back.
I understand it. I mean, it makes sense logically. It's just kind of like, okay.
It was a little way of making it. It made it a little pretty at the end.
Pretty at the end.
Like,
well, his first death with his first death with the Alpha wasn't pretty, and then this one was kind of poetic in a way that he's actually, this is a death that he wanted to end this, race of mimics. But I thought it was very reminiscent of the War of the Worlds movie.
I didn't like that one
with the grenade that he put in the first one, and that destroyed all the others.
Oh, you're talking about, when you were talking about this scene, I thought you meant you were talking about pretty much the chunk after.
I am talking about the chunk after.
Where he goes back and all of a sudden everyone's alive again. He's just never met them, and then he has the opportunity to fall in love.
No, that part was great.
The girl.
I like the one thing I missed from the ending was I wanted that moment for her. Because we end on him laughing in the cute little grin of his, but we never get to see her realization that we did it. And granted, I know because each time he would have to explain to her, I'm not saying that we needed to have a moment where he goes, "Hey, we did it, we won the whole thing." But there's a moment because of who she is. She knows at some point
she will find out that they've met,
and you spent so much time with her. I wanted her to have that moment, and I felt like, I wanted to see her because she could have carried that moment. She's a good enough actress where you wouldn't have to say anything. You could have seen her understand it from the get-go just by the way he's looking at her. I think you could have done it, and I think it would have been really successful.
It is an interesting scene that I would like to see. It would just I know it would have been hard for them. It would have been hard.
It would have been hard, but I would have seen it, and I just felt like because I had spent so much time with her and was invested in her, that I wanted her to have some sort. And I know it's going to happen. It's just we didn't get to see it on screen. I'm just saying on screen it would have been nice to see. So, and the other question I have is, if the alphas can reset, why can't the Omega? When it dies, can it just reset?
Because it's not like an active being. It's like a brain.
Okay.
I don't know.
If you think about it,
somehow the alphas can. The alphas can do something that the Omega can't. I'm sure somebody out there has a wonderfully
if you think
logical
about it,
explanation for it.
If you think
maybe it knows
Omega
it's a guy and then just wouldn't attack that. I don't know.
No, but if you think about it, Omega means end. I don't think it would be the beginning, and Alpha is the beginning. So it makes sense that the alphas would go back to the beginning, but Omega would go back.
I just found that whole thing odd.
It has a definitive.
It is something under you has an ability you don't have. That is very interesting. My plot hole for the thing is that, and it's hard when you have so many material, is that why no one recognized Tom Cruise. That's the thing I don't understand.
Oh, his character.
Yeah, I guess.
Oh, because he's the mouthpiece for the entire United Defense Force.
He just talked about, they set it up that he was the media face of all of them who got all these recruits to be in suits.
Yeah, exactly. And nobody recognizes him.
And none of the people in the suits know who he is.
He's not a very good mouthpiece. And he's been all over the news everywhere, but none of these grunts recognize him.
Yes.
He's their spokesperson, but none of them recognize him.
And like he was the one who convinced them to join, but no one knows who he is. That to me, I was like,
I didn't even pay attention. I think that's one of the best things I've heard.
Like, come
that's
on.
Great.
There's some sort of thing. So
he actually makes that argument that I've convinced all these people.
He's like, I got you, like, whatever, 1.5 million.
Who recognizes the recruiting officer? Let's be honest. Although he is all over the CNN and all the other networks. Yeah,
that was mine.
That's a very good one.
Hey,
oh, that's great. No one's. I don't know of anybody that's brought that up with you, and certainly no one's answered it. But that's a really good one.
Yeah.
You guys can answer that for me.
My question was at the very end when we know that Gage could, start the whole day over again, even though everyone's gone. My question is, when he eventually dies, when he's an older man, gentleman, and he dies, will he reset?
I know, because he's got the blood in him. So that's what the other thing I was going is he's going to have to relive his life all over again.
Is he in a way immortal?
I don't know. That's what's it's an interesting question. So that's what always you get into with these time travel things.
This is the sequel.
Yeah.
Instead of Edge of Tomorrow, it's I don't even know.
Yesterday?
Hey.
No, okay, but a lot of people have praised it because even though it's taken from a book, it's not a sequel to any other piece, so they're liking that part of it. And we have to ask, why is it not doing better? Because it's getting very good reviews. It's getting great audience response. Obviously, it got killed by A Fault in Our Stars.
I don't know if that's a detriment to Edge of Tomorrow or just people went to Fault for Our Stars.
Well, they have totally different demographics. They're 90 or what is it? 80% of the people who went to Follow the Stars were women under the age of 25, and 80% of the people that went to Edge of Tomorrow were guys over the age of 25, or 70% or so. So that's totally different demographics. So I don't know that. It's counter programming, so to speak. So I don't know that they really affected each other. But certainly the movie-going public did not go. They went in decent. It's made what I don't know what the budget was. 178 million. They put 100 million into it for P&A. And as of the 11th, it's made 150 million or so worldwide.
Let's look about it. I have it
it's doing well.
While you're looking that up, if you think about it too, we haven't had a lot of female-driven films yet this summer. We've had The Other Women, but we've already had a lot of action summer blockbusters already come out, and then this feels like another one just to add to that roster. And then Fault in Our Stars is definitely one out of a handful just that are catered towards the women demographic. So I can understand why women might go to this one more so than the men going to just another action film.
Yeah, right, you can understand women going to Edge of Tomorrow?
Or The Fault in Our Stars.
Okay, see, I can see women going to see Edge of Tomorrow because I thought Emily Blunt did fabulous, and she's the warrior.
The thing is, this movie, and it is, by the way, worldwide right now, 151 point almost 5 million.
Okay, so there you go.
But I think that it's a hidden gem in a way. As much as it's a huge blockbuster
you think
movie,
word of mouth will carry it?
I hope so.
I think it has been.
But here's what it's up against this week. It's got the two of them. How to Train Your Dragon, and what's the other one?
I'm really just focused on How to Train Your
22
Dragon
Jump Street.
That's it. They're both getting amazing reviews already, and so and Maleficent and Fault of Our Stars.
But also those two films coming out this week, those are sequels. People have already seen the original, so they're going to want to go see. If they love the original, they're going to go see the second one. This one is completely in and of itself.
I have to say, I hope word of mouth is strong because I think it deserves to be so. It's certainly better than Godzilla, Transcendence, as you mentioned earlier.
And as much as advertising as they have done for this film, I was so surprised, not only by the fact that I liked it so much, but also by what it was.
Yeah, because you didn't know.
This whole time, I expected it to be the Tom Cruise is the hero, Emily Blunt kind of tags along. And then the fact that it is her character so different than female characters would be, and I know that's one of the reasons she liked this role was because she did want to be an action hero who was not being guided.
Leading. Exactly. Yeah, she was leading.
So, and I think that was done really well, but not described in the advertising. Yeah. I think that the arc that Tom Cruise was done very well, but not described in the advertising. So, to me, so much of what makes this movie good is hidden.
Yeah. And even the humor is hidden because you don't expect it to be anywhere near as funny as it is. And it's not like it's a laugh right throughout the movie, but the humor is done very well strategically and just
creative ways to die, getting crushed by a truck. I mean, everyone laughed at that.
Yeah.
Like, what were you thinking?
Yeah, that's funny.
I mean, I love
When
just
he
the
rolls
little
under it.
moments.
and they didn't show it either. I mean, you just heard it and saw it. I mean, didn't
But
see
the
it.
audience
Him
can
actually-
use their
yeah, it's great.
imagination.
It's terrific. So
we
much
have to
Lego.
tell
And you have to
everyone,
say,
see
Doug
this
Liman
and-
does a fabulous job. I mean, he had challenges as he does in every movie. Apparently, I mean, even from the first one, Swingers, he had his issues there. But it put together a great movie.
I thought the weaponry was also fascinating too, because
the suit,
the
what are we calling it?
exoskeleton
Yeah, what do they call
scoot
it?
that
and that they actually made it and it wasn't CGI.
I mean,
Yeah,
70
no.
of them in all different versions.
They
And
made
different weights.
so many, and an interview of Emily Blunt, she said hers weighed about 80 pounds.
Yeah, and the
80,
heavier version
85.
weighed 130 pounds, and hers, the one she was wearing, was
Guys,
85.
that's
Yeah.
a lot.
That's a lot. And
Like,
during
think about it.
during
Yeah.
training, Emily Blunt would
That's
wear
like
a weighted
2/3 of
vest.
her.
That's like more than 2/3 of her. She's tiny.
She,
That's what I'm
she's
saying.
Have
She
you
weighs
seen
like
those
180,
yoga
130.
arms?
That's 2/3 of her.
Yeah, but during training, she would wear a weighted vest so she can get used to
Yeah.
the weight and lugging that around. And also, getting in and out of the suits originally took around 30 minutes, and being on set, every minute counts.
Yeah, you can't do that.
And so they had to cut that time down to, and they actually managed it because they had a team of 4 people getting people in and out, and they cut that time down to 30 seconds.
And then they had
That's
special
crazy.
rigs built so that they could, when they were cut, they could
Yeah.
hoist
would
them,
hoist
hold
them
them
up
up
so
so the weight was
wasn't
off
on
of
them.
them. That's great.
I think it was also a good choice that they did make these real. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
that
I don't know how you
added
could have.
so much.
Yeah, they were great.
Such a dynamic, and the suits were interesting, and to me,
And
seemed
which one of you? I would want those things. Who didn't? I mean, push
yeah.
a car, you know.
Yeah, they're supposed to, make you run faster, punch
Yeah.
harder, and like really elevate every human physical ability.
But as much as they did, it was also, and as much as it was a suit of armor,
Yeah,
it was
still the human.
minimalistic
Yeah,
in a
yeah,
way. Like it wasn't fully coated. It wasn't just like you could just see their
They're still
face, which
exposed.
we've seen
They
so much.
Absolutely.
Took the helmet
It
off,
is
which
just
add
like
the-
these bars, and I really liked that.
Yeah,
I thought
that was great. Very effective.
And also, just a fun fact: Exobionics is actually working on an exoskeleton to help paraplegics walk again.
Yeah, I've seen those.
A lot of the inspiration for that suit and for everything is coming from
Stuff that's
live
already have- yeah, we
projects
already
that are
have.
being made,
Yeah.
like things that they want to do, and that's why it read well. It didn't it read that this was, as much as like the aliens were very futuristic and crazy, and
They were
like,
great. I love that. I thought the alpha. I thought that was really effective because when that alpha opened its mouth and you see the heat vapor rising, it's like, ooh, that is
That
nasty.
was blue. and
Yeah, it was
that
terrible. It was awful.
Yeah,
go ahead.
sorry, just a little bit on the handguns too. They're actually military real weapons that they based it off. The gun that Rita uses to shoot Gage over and over again, it was a Sig Sauer P226R, which is actual a real
Such tech talk from Marisa.
yeah, which is actual real gun, and the sound that they used was actually recorded
Nice.
sound
Okay.
from the actual gun.
Yeah.
There we go. Did you guys have? Before I know sorry for you guys out there that we didn't get to dive too much in this movie because we had a wonderful interview, which I think is a very good exchange. So
Amazing.
conversation, definitely continue with us through comments. Do you guys have any favorite scenes or moments from this film?
Yeah, no, I have a few. I like the first time Gage is out there with the mechanical monsters trying to, and he just gets the crap kicked out of him. And I really do love the one where he's hobbling away, and she says, "You broke your leg." No, I can still feel my toes, and bam, she just shoots him.
Yeah, I think that to me it was funny that one of my funniest or favorite scenes was when they really got into the repetition at the beach. Because I've never really seen repetition done quite that way, where often it's like, oh, I'm frustrated, but they get the hang of things so easily.
Right.
But it's like, in this one, it was literally one step forward. It wasn't like, oh, the third time you did it, you made it all the way through. Great. Like, it really was
Yeah, they went on.
ingrained into you. Like, they're like, one step, one
many
step, one
times,
step.
exactly.
Oh, we did it and it was wrong again. Like,
Turn
and you-
left, duck right.
yeah, or that it was
Yeah.
like her struggling with turning left or whatever it was, like 5 times, and that she still couldn't
Be
get
specific. Be specific.
it. Yeah, that to me read
Yeah.
so well, and that scene was so like frustrating and new and well done. That was my favorite.
Yeah, I think another fun favorite scene of mine was when, using the same device, when they're going to Gleason's character to get the transponder again.
Yeah.
But this is the first time the audience has seen it, but we've already been there. But the blocking and how simple, turn this way, and, spin this way, and, avoid these two people going through the elevator. And that was brilliant, and that was so simple, but you can...
Even in the office, don't shoot him this time. Okay, they've tried that route.
But
so.
it was so simple but still comedic at the same way, and I really like that.
That's another point. I understand why they did it action-wise, but I was like, logic-wise, I went, okay, so he's going to give you the transponder, and then he's going to have everybody hunt you down. What's the point of that?
It was I think it was to go back to...
Logic-wise, it makes no sense. But I understand how it works movie-wise because it's nice in action, but you could have thought a better way into that.
But for me, motivation-wise, it tied into his earlier interaction with Cruz, where it was the same thing, where it was that kind of misguided, I'm not going to attack you right on, I'm going to let other people do it.
Yeah, but why would you give that device up? It was important enough for you to keep in the safe, but you're just going to hand it over to this guy.
He also had a gun on him. But this is what I'm saying. It's just that, earlier on we saw him with Tom Cruise. Yeah. I'm not saying you're completely wrong, because you have to do all this connecting yourselves, which isn't always the best solution. And I have to, tweak it in my head for it to work. But earlier we saw him, you get Tom Cruise blackmailing him. And then he leaves, and he's like, oh, well, now that there's all these armed guards on, he's like, now arrest him. And to me, it was kind of a callback to that, where it's you think everything's fine. You think Tom Cruise has his way, but really he's not into it. There you go. And to me, it was just this guy who's you can give things to people now, and then you can strip them away either way.
All the choices you can, because they could have found another way into the safe. They could have stolen the thing, and then he could have, as they're running away, the same thing could have happened, but it just what? This makes no sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got to get to our last thoughts because we got to get out of here. So, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just, my last thought, I thought it was really well done for an action film and a non-linear film, because I'm just such a big fan of those, because it always makes me think every single time, and, I'm going to reiterate my opinions, but it was really brilliantly well done, and I think more people will go see this film.
I hope so.
Because
I think it
it's
deserves
really
a life.
word of mouth.
Yeah, for my final thought, I'm even going to put it so far as, there's a lot of great movies out right now, or a lot of movies that have a lot of publicity, and I thought this movie was well worth seeing, and obviously, hopefully you guys did too. So out there, it's this is a word of mouth movie. So this is kind of our responsibility to tell people about and be no, that is worth seeing.
Yeah.
And they really were wearing those suits.
Yeah.
There's just so much to like about this film. I mean, everybody has these little nitty gritty things.
Now, the fun fact,
who wouldn't? I mean, that's part of what we do here.
Almost broke her nose during filming.
Oh, yeah?
I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah, the on-set physician had to straighten it out.
Nice.
Another fun little fact about her before we go.
Yep.
During reshoots, she had done a lot of her stunts and a lot of training, and then for reshoots she had someone else do her stunts.
Yeah, she didn't want to.
And that was because she was pregnant. And
right.
Tom Cruise ended up being one of the first people she trusted with that information.
Well, because I'm
I'm
sure he kept wondering, well, why are you doing your stunts now? You did them before, because he's the one that called her a wuss when she first.
Well, because Tom Cruise is famous for doing his own stunts.
Absolutely.
So congrats to her out there as well.
It's a great movie. Go see it. You'll have a lot of fun. You may have every time travel movie has its own little issues, but you got to buy into it. But don't worry about that part. It's a fun movie. Enjoy
but if you do have any plot holes, please tell us about them.
Absolutely. like Sarah's. All right. Where can they find AOM people?
You can follow all of us here at Anatomy of a Movie on Twitter, at Movie Anatomy, on our website, anatomyofamovie.com.
And where they can find you?
Oh, they can find me here at Anatomy of a Movie, or on AfterBuzz TV, Game of Thrones, or Penny Dreadful.
All right.
Which we do together.
We want to thank you for listening. Again, we also want to thank Maria Menounos and the Evergirls Guide to Diet and Fitness for hosting this particular event. Thank you very much. Check that out. It's a New York Times bestseller. You can find it everywhere.
And thank
Please
you, Christopher Beck.
Thank you, Christopher Beck, for joining us. It was fabulous to talk to you. I hope to have you back, and congratulations on all your success and your continued success. On behalf of everybody here, we want to thank you very much for tuning in, and we will talk to you next time.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the rest of the Anatomy of a Movie staff, we would like to thank you for listening and subscribing to the show. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to email or tweet us. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been Anatomy of a Movie.
Thanks for watching Anatomy of a Movie on YouTube. For more on your favorite movies, subscribe to our channel here and be sure to let us know what you think in our comment section below here. Bye.